Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing a little bit of speculating today when it comes to the next Battlefield game. So obviously it's been announced, and I have my notes right here, kind of just to guide me along. I'm actually going to move it over here so I can pull up the website for Battlefield 5, or Battlefield V as some people are calling it. So they revealed the name for it, or, the logo for it. And to be honest with you, there's not much to go off of right now. So there's a lot of people saying that the 5 is actually a V, and that means it's going to be Battlefield Vietnam, which would be really cool. Others people are saying that it'd be the V for victory, like that Winston Churchill held up during the war. And some people think that no, it's not that complicated. It's going to be another modern era game that's just after Battlefield 4. They just sleeked down the design and gave it a Roman numeral. I think that it's going to be different. I don't think it's going to be a modern era game. Now, I could be completely wrong, of course. Obviously, this is all speculation. We won't know until May 23rd, which is a little less than a week from now. But they have said that it's going to be in a new setting. And it's on another front line. That's pretty broad. We don't know for sure what that means. I mean, that could be something like, oh, it's Modern Warfare, but it's in America, or something like that. It's like an alternate history thing, which may be what it is. I've heard people say that it may be a Cold War game, which, if it was a Cold War game, that'd be pretty cool. But I think the big three right now are Vietnam, World War II, and modern. And out of those two, the most likely that people are speculating are World War II or modern. And of course, everybody's fighting about that. Like, it needs to be modern, or no, it needs to be in World War II. Personally, if it was a choice between the two, I think it would need to go to World War II. And I understand what people are going to say. We just had Battlefield 1. Yes, we did. But we have only had 2 other World War II Battlefield games, when we've had several modern Battlefield games. Look at Battlefield 3 and then look at Battlefield 4. So they're pretty similar. So I don't think it's that big of a deal if we change over to World War II. However, I do think they need to be very careful when they do World War II to make it more unique and more refreshing. So if that means they're going to do something like what they did with Battlefield 1942, which was making experimental weapons available and experimental vehicles. I forgot what it was called, but it was a DLC for it that was really interesting. You could have like jetpacks and stuff. That would add some interest to it. And if they focused heavily on theaters like the Eastern Front, or theaters like, the Pacific, for example, but not just American, maybe an Australian and colonial forces perspective. So I don't feel like World War II has been fully played out, because it was a world war. And that's part of the reason it's so popular, is because it's the biggest war ever, especially in modern history. And it wasn't that long ago. So you're going to have a lot of stuff that surrounds that. And part of the reason, World War II games were so popular when they were is because that was what was all over the media. We had movies like Saving Private Ryan. We had several miniseries that were coming out having to do with World War II. So games naturally emulated that. But I don't think it would be a mistake to go to World War II. Maybe it would be, I don't know. As long as they don't make it a very boring Normandy, everybody's seen this part of the war game, although I do think we need to see it. If they actually, like in Battlefield 1942, they did a very good job with kind of, stepping foot in every little aspect of the war that are lesser known. So hopefully they'll do that. But that's if it is World War II. If it's modern, then things can be a little bit different, obviously. Obviously, it's not going to be Battlefield Bad Company 3, which is a little disappointing. I really want to see if they have any plans for that. But apparently it's not this year, or from what we've seen, it doesn't look like it's going to be this year. I've also wondered, you know, I mean, you can wonder a lot of things. I mean, there's obviously Vietnam. The problem is they've done Vietnam before very well. That was the second Battlefield game, was Battlefield Vietnam. And they did it very, very well with Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam, which is by far, in my opinion, they're the best expansion DLC thing that DICE has released that I can remember. I mean, that was so well done. So if they do Battlefield Vietnam, they're gonna have to somehow top those. And that's the same situation that World War II is in. They would somehow have to top, previous Battlefield games that have been in World War II. Which is only one that swept the whole war. Battlefield 1943 was just Pacific, and 3 aspects of the Pacific. I don't know why the camera focused when I held up. That's weird. Anyways, so that's what they're going to have to do. I think they're really going to have to be creative. I think they may be looking at alternate history. I mean, they're not afraid of being historically inaccurate, obviously, with Battlefield 1. I mean, Battlefield 1 played like World War II games, which is fine. But you didn't see much of trench warfare in Battlefield 1. It was a lot of open warfare, which, of course, was a characteristic of the Second World War, not the First. Although, depending where you were at in the First. And that was a good thing they did cover, is they showed you, look, it wasn't just all trenches in World War I. There were battles raging all over the planet. That's why it's a world war. But they're going to have a campaign, which is good to see. It was interesting to have a campaign in Battlefield again. Or, not again, but kind of a refreshing take. Large-scale multiplayer. They don't give us much here. They kind of just tease us. It says, discover the new challenges that will change war forever. Pretty dramatic. And I think that's why a lot of people are thinking it may be World War II. Because World War II was the next big war that changed everything. But maybe not. Maybe this could be an alternate history. I thought about what if they did it to where it's the Korean War, which would be very, very cool. Or they lump that in with, you got aspects of the Korean War, you got aspects of the Vietnam War, all mixed in. So what if, hostilities actually did break out between the Soviet Union and the United States and her allies? What would that look like? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's an atomic age battlefield, which sounds really, really cool. So like in the 50s or 60s, which I would be down for that. That would be very, very interesting. I've also thought about what if it's in the future, like Battlefield 2142. I think it's 2142. It's 2140 something. With mechs and giant, almost like helicarrier type things. The only issue I would see is that EA would be afraid that would be too similar to Battlefront. But from recent news, it looks like EA is abandoning Battlefront anyways. So maybe that's not such a crazy idea. Set your alarms for the reveal of the next Battlefield. War will never be the same. I don't know. My gut instinct is something that nobody's really talked about that I've seen. And I think the answer's right here. And this V, or this 5, which of course is a Roman numeral, I think that's telling us right there that it's going to be in Rome. It's going to be a Rome battlefield. We're going to be in the Punic Wars, fighting the Carthaginians or something, or in the Roman Civil Wars or something. Just a thought. Your only vehicles would be like horses, supply wagons, elephants, obviously, if you want to get a little crazy there. Obviously, I'm joking, but I still think that'd be really funny. They reveal it to be Battlefield Rome. It sounds crazy, but if you had told me that they were making a World War I battlefield, 6 years ago, I don't think I would have believed you. I would have thought, what are they going to do with World War I? But they did it, and they did it very well. That battlefield was right up there with Bad Company 2 for me when it comes to last Battlefield game I enjoyed. 3 was really close, though. 3 was very good, too. I didn't play enough of 4 because I thought 4 looked too much like 3. I'm like, I've already played this game. And of course, I'm probably completely wrong, but that's what happened. But I'm gonna bet that it's either gonna be World War II or some cool kind of Cold War type game, because when it says war will never be the same, I don't if it's not World War I just think of the atomic age. Because at least with World War II, you have the dropping of the atomic bombs, and then you have the beginning of the atomic age with the Cold War. Or it could be future. War will never be the same. Maybe there's mechs. Maybe there's cyber warfare now, Maybe we'll be hacking each other instead of shooting each other. I don't know. I just don't want it to be a modern game. I don't want it to be Battlefield 4 Mark II. And I don't think it will be. I think they've kind of learned their lesson that we need to iterate more. Because I just watched, it's a little off topic, but it's important because this is their competitor, the reveal for Black Ops 4. And honestly, nothing too crazy. Now, once the game actually comes out, maybe different. But for my first impressions, I'm not blown away by anything. And I think a big part of that has to do with there's no big steps that are being taken anymore. To give Call of Duty credit, that was you could say a big-ish step. I felt it was reactionary to go back to World War II. Did they do it well? No. In my opinion, they didn't. I don't think Call of Duty can go back to World War II. I think that they've done it. There's nothing else for them to do. They showed that they've done all they can do with World War II. Even having alternate type stuff. Battlefield, however, I still think has a chance in World War II. Some might disagree with that. Some may say, no, it's just too similar to World War I because of the way they played out Battlefield 1, and I could definitely see that argument. But I feel like whatever they do, they should stay away from just doing what Call of Duty has done and just gone back to their kind of near future type setting. And I don't think they will. I think Battlefield has shown that they're going to be a little bit more visionary. And the way they're selling this, this could all be marketing bullcrap, which, most of it is. But when you're, set your alarms, war will never be the same, a new Battlefield, unexpected theaters of war, maybe that means it is alternate history. It talks about how it gave us the definitive World War I, there we go, experience that brought the dawn of all-out war to life. Happens on another, front line. I don't know. Takes it to the next level. Maybe we'll have more players. That'd be cool. I don't think so, actually. I think 64 is plenty. New modes. and experiences. This is the weird one. What, like, is this supposed to be a tease or not? Like, who wrote this? A player favorite from Battlefield 1. Operations have given you the chance to take epic journeys across several maps. Will this team play focused experience be the next Battlefield? You'll know if you watch the live reveal. It's like, okay, well, obviously, it's going to be in there. Are they just going to say, oh, by the way, operations are in here? And if it is, it's either going to be in there like it was before, or it's going to be implemented and improved upon, which I'm betting that's what it is. Gameplay changes. You know, who knows? Trevor Noah, you know, there's celebrity to host it. We all have to have celebrities to host reveal events now. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on Battlefield 5. Once they reveal what Battlefield 5 is, like they have the trailer and they've kind of done the talks about it, I'll do a little bit more of analysis over it, you know, in a future video, which will hopefully, you know, be within a week. So anyways, guys, I've been Sir Awesome. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this will be a good Battlefield. And if they're as imaginative as they were with the last one, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we have in store for us. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.